stuff. We got Chinese lady busted for stealing $6.7 billion of, which is around 60,000 Bitcoin. That was seized. And I guess she's been doing a whole lot of sketchy behavior for the last long bit of time. We've got Strategy raising the dividend rates of STRC preferred stock by a quarter of a basis point, I believe. We have the FTX rolling out of all the funds coming back. It looked like the market priced it in days in advance, well in advance. We've got multiple treasury companies adding to their stacks. We have Binance entering sort of like the, I guess, crypto as a service, white label infrastructure is probably the best we could put it. And they're entering the game trying to become a real player for people moving money, which I think is bizarre because of Binance's obvious history. I think it's very strange, and we'll talk about it with Rob. Gold hitting all-time highs. I mean, we have a ton of crazy stuff in the past few days going on in Bitcoin land. So I'm excited to jump into it. I'll share this first story here and share screen, but we'll go here first. This will be the first story. And Rob, I'll let you introduce this one. This is from you guys, your amazing Bitcoin news page.
Yeah, so late last night, Cynthia Loomis put out a post before there was any official announcement, but this is a big deal. She said that Treasury has fixed the CAMT problem. So CAMT stands for Corporate Alt Minimum Tax, and this was proposed under the Biden administration, and it risked having companies that held assets such as Bitcoin to be taxed for unrealized gains. So a company like Strategy, who of course has invested over, I think, $30 billion into Bitcoin, and that Bitcoin is worth over $70 billion today, they would, under this rule, would have been taxed for that $40 billion gain, even though they had not sold, right? And so once you start getting into unrealized gain taxes, then you're opening a whole can of worms, and it's a real big problem. It really disincentivizes investments in any form. So this was a proposal, and it was under Biden, but it's finally been quashed by the Treasury and the IRS. And Cynthia Loomis came out with the big news last night that this had happened, and then Saylor came out this morning and made the announcement that they are in the clear and that Strategy is good to go. No unrealized gain taxes for them. Big deal for Bitcoin treasury companies. This was a sword of Damocles hanging over their heads, and now they are clear. And it would be nice if their stocks could go up a little bit, but they don't have to worry about these unrealized gain taxes.
Wow, that is huge news. And I did see that, and I saw a few comments in there like, hey, I haven't seen any official announcements. Are you sure about this? And so I'm glad to get this update this morning. You're right. There's a few different cascading factors of the treasury companies. So the more we can knock over, I mean, look, the entire thesis around the treasury companies makes sense. They're just, I think the highest risk is just the fact that there's such a potential for a rolling over that everyone's worried about. And if that happens, will they sell? Are they going to panic? And I think more people are just worried about their behavior if there's a downturn kind of thing, or because it depends. You don't know what kind of level of conviction some of these treasury companies have, but great stuff. And shout out to Cynthia Loomis for the updates there and working hard. Another story here from Bitcoin News. We have Yadi Zhang. This is all over the internet, by the way. She pled guilty to acquiring $6.7 billion in Bitcoin. She has been running scams for a very long time. I mean, this lady looks like she comes out of a nightmare, dude. This is like but here's the sad part. That looks like any other babysitter too. I'm like, this is awful, dude. We are the worst.
The funniest thing, her nickname back in China when she was running this scam was the Goddess of Wealth.
Oh my.
Yadi over here, known as the Goddess of Wealth.
Wow.
So yeah, I can dive into the story.
Please, yeah.
So yes, she was living in China where she was born, and between 2014 and 2017, she was running a property investment scam. So of course, if you know anything about China, a big part of their economy, of course, is based on building out property. And in the 2010s, I mean, after the great financial crisis, China dumped $1 trillion into their economy of just building out infrastructure. They built out, of course, high-speed rail, which is really a sight to behold, really something amazing, but they also built out wasted things such as ghost cities. And so people were just putting in money sight unseen into apartments that were not even built yet, right? And there was a lot of scams that just grew up out of this whole entire real estate economy. So this woman, Yadi Zhang, was able to be known as the Goddess of Wealth and raised a bunch of money in China for investment properties. And she converted it all to Bitcoin. She then proceeded to flee China in 2017 and made her way to the UK. So of course, 2014 Bitcoin was a couple $100. 2017 it ran up to 20,000, but it's still
Wow.
6 times smaller than it is today. So Yachty is in the UK in the late 2010s, and she has all this Bitcoin, but she wants to turn it into an extravagant lifestyle. She recruits another Chinese citizen living in the UK who is a former delivery driver, right? And she has this woman buy a property or attempt to buy a property for 23 million pounds.
What?
And that's what set off authorities. So she had
Oh,
enough gumption to be
wow.
able to scam all these people, but she didn't know how to turn it into assets. So yeah, this is an investigation that's been going on for over 7 years now, and the government seized this Bitcoin over 5 years ago. So the UK government's been sitting on the 61,000 Bitcoin, but there's a whole lot of questions that need to be answered now. So she has finally pled guilty. And her lawyer came out and said, okay, now that she's guilty, we can repay the people that we scammed back in China. But last year, under the conservative Tory government, the UK government issued some laws that said that they're allowed to seize and hold crypto assets that they take from criminals. So there's a bunch of different players involved here, right? This is $6.7 billion. And the UK government is facing a deficit, of course, right? But we've got the UK, we've got China, we've got two relatively large, heavy hitters on the geopolitical stage, and we've got citizens who've been scammed in China. The UK government has recovered this. So now lots of questions have appeared. One, are they going to repay the Chinese citizens, right?
Hmm.
Because if they steal the Bitcoin that's been stolen from them, they're no better than the goddess of wealth over here, Yadi Zhang. And if they do repay them, at what prices will they repay them in? Right? They're most likely not going to pay them back in Bitcoin. They're going to give them a dollar or pound amount. Are they going to pay them back at 2014, 2017 Bitcoin prices? And if they do hold on to some or all of this Bitcoin, dude, get her. That's enough of Yachty.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I was trying to close out of it. I was like, let me just get one last zoom in.
And so then the question is, if they hold on to this Bitcoin, the UK government, I mean, are they going to sell it immediately to fulfill their budget deficit, right? Or if they were able to hold on to this Bitcoin, steal it from the Chinese citizens who have been stolen from, they would instantaneously have the world's third largest strategic Bitcoin reserve, right? Behind America and China, who each hold roughly 200,000 Bitcoin, it is believed. So this is a big deal, and it has geopolitical intrigue, lots of questions in terms of seizure of Bitcoin. What happens when you do seize it? Do governments have the foresight now to hold on to that Bitcoin, keep it in their treasury, and create strategic Bitcoin reserves around it? And of course, it's just a classic government story, right? They never create anything. All they can do is take things. And so they are gifted the fact that this woman stole this Bitcoin, went to their country, tried to launder it, and they caught her. But are they able to fulfill that into a long-term vision for their country? There are people at the Bitcoin Policy group over in the UK, Bitcoin Policy UK, led by Freddie New and Decentra Suze, some great Bitcoiners over there leading this effort. They've written numerous letters to Rachel Reeves, the head of the Exchequer, their Treasury Secretary over there in the UK, to try to make her realize that this is really important. You do not want to make the fumble, because the government in the UK made the same exact mistake
I
back
remember.
in 2000. Gordon Brown sold all of the UK's gold at like the generational bottom, right? When gold was like $300 an ounce. Now it is approaching $4,000 an ounce, right? So that's over a 10x right there. So they missed out on a 10x over the last 20, 25 years in gold. Are they going to miss out on a 100x over the next 20 years in Bitcoin? Lots of questions. Lots of questions.
No, that's a fascinating story. I appreciate you breaking that one down. And if you guys didn't have that image burn in your head now, then you do now. So I wanted to make sure you guys got plenty of screen time of her face, because that is the face of wealth. I mean, this is just
goddess of wealth. Yeah,
the goddess of wealth. Yeah, absolutely. Let's jump over to this next story here. We have Strategy raising their dividend twice in 30 days. Actually, we've got Strategy raising dividend rates on STRC preferred stock from 10 to 10.25 effective October 1st, which is today. This cash dividend is going to be 85 cents per share, payable in basically the end of the month to holders. And so this is pretty interesting because let me go to the story here as well. But an awesome post, by the way, very cool stuff. But there's also here a bit more info coming over from a crypto slate. But yeah, I saw this. So this is the second rate increase in under 30 days. I've seen a couple of people commenting about this and asking about, what's going to happen in November. And they're already asking. And it's like nobody can win. It's like the one thing I noticed from the crypto world and the NFT world coming over to Bitcoin is that nobody's patient. Everyone wants it yesterday. And the announcement's great, but like, where's my money? And there's like nothing else that matters. But I think it's really interesting. I saw a couple, I think it was Darkside, actually, one of the top people from Wall Street, like 40-year veteran, said Strike is probably the best option you could get on Wall Street for this type of, I guess, I'm not even sure how you put it, but he's basically saying like Strike has better things to offer than most things going on Wall Street in terms of Bitcoin. And I thought it was interesting because I don't know too much about the stock world, and I don't know which ones are going to win. I don't know who's making a mistake because these are happening in real time. Michael Saylor's giving announcements and prescribing strategies to do things, but we've only seen it happen a couple times. We don't know what happens on a greater scale. So I think it's pretty interesting that these are happening, but I'm glad that they're making decisions and trying things. The entire MSTR ecosystem, I think, is impressing me, I guess, with the amount of like innovative efforts I guess they're trying to do. They have no problem leading and trying stuff and rocking the boat, which I like. And so I'm glad we've got someone like them pushing ahead. So yeah, let me know your thoughts on this.
So this is STRC. This is, I believe, the fourth preferred stock option provided by Strategy, and I think that this Saylor really sees this as the iPhone moment for MSTR. He thinks that this is the crown jewel of their offerings, their financial offerings, where he sees Strategy as a company like Standard Oil, where they're able to take the natural resource out of the ground, the commodity, Bitcoin, oil, and then refine it and create different products out of it. And he thinks that this is the product that will really change the investment landscape by taking Bitcoin's volatility, turning it into an investment product, and opening it up to the masses. So what is STRC? STRC is a preferred stock, and you buy it, and it's supposed to be like a $100 stock stablecoin. But the benefit of it is that it gives you a coupon, right? It gives you 10% annually off of how much you have, right? But they have these mechanisms where if there is less demand, so they want to keep it at $100 the stock, right? And it opened up at 88 and it's rocketed up today it's at 97. But if the stock price is below $100, they will increase the dividend amount, I believe every month or until it levels out at 100. If the stock price goes over 100, they will lessen the dividend amount and to even it out. And so if you look at it, I mean, if your money is in a money market fund right now, you're getting a 4% to 5% coupon, right? This is double that. So it's for those looking for fixed income, for a reliable dollar fiat revenue stream, this is one way to do it. And if you have something that is providing double the return of what you can in, say, a money market fund, this becomes very attractive for investors. This is still a brand new product, is a couple of months old, and we are seeing this mechanism come into place. They first went from 9% to 10% from August to September, and now they're going from 10 to 10.25. Now that we're in October, and we'll see what November brings. But yes, I mean, STRC stretch went from 88 when it debuted up to 98, down to 92. Now it's settling closely at 97.5. And I mean, it's a pretty interesting product. And of course, Saylor is very open about the fact that he sat down with AI and just had a crazy jam session over a weekend and created all these products. But I mean, this is the world we live in, right? Where a rocket scientist genius like Saylor can sit down with the smartest being on planet Earth and create new financial products and then release them. And I mean, these have been the most successful IPOs of 2025, raising billions of dollars at their launch. So this is it's big moves, and Bitcoin is making a big move right now. I don't know if you have TradingView up, but we are we are now at
whoa, we are. Hold on. Okay, yeah, I will pull it up. Yeah, guys, we're pumping on Bitcoin. Oh my gosh.
Pumping on Bitcoin.
Wow, holy moly. Look at that. Almost 117,000 here. Let me pull this up right now.
Bring that up.
This is great. And by the way, yeah, so I'm glad you're able to explain that for everyone watching, because that is probably what I agree with Darkside. It's one of the most interesting stocks because of that exact thing, which it's also high risk because people are like, well, what happens? Like, what's the downside possibility? If the stock does go over 100, then what about all the dividend people? Are they going to leave? So I can understand why it's such an exciting thing, and that's so fun. He always talks about that with the AI. It's like, I sit down with AI, just ask questions and stuff like that, and you'd be so surprised. What happens? You're like, what? But I've done the
Is,
same.
is that your sailor impression?
Kind
Sit
of,
down with AI.
the AI thing. He said that multiple times. It's so
Yeah, yeah,
funny
yeah.
because people joke, but I do the exact same thing. I also use ChatGPT all the time. I do
You
full
got
deep
to.
dive sessions. I'm like, brother, it was one of the main Bitcoin people, someone like British Hodl, and he talked about that. He's like, I don't talk to people anymore. He goes, I literally, if I need help on anything, I just ask ChatGPT now. He goes, people don't know anything anymore. And I was like, that's kind of deep, low key. That's kind of deep.
Yeah, I mean, you're not going to be replaced by AI. You'll be replaced by a person who knows how to use AI, right?
Yeah,
So,
agreed.
so start using it, talk to it, play with it, and stay ahead of the curve.
Dude, this is nuts. We literally have bounced from 114 to well over $117,000. I'm surprised, Rob. Have you put out a tweet that Bitcoin's put out? We're over $117,000
No,
because
I've not tweeted that yet.
I'm
No,
about
but I
to.
mean, go for it, dude. I'll
The
I'll
life of
carry the
the
conversation. But I mean,
yes,
yes, this is seasonality. This is Bitcoin entering into the strongest 3 months of the 4-year cycle. Rational Root just put out a great chart with a Bitcoin spiral chart. You can see Bitcoin going its price throughout the different periods of the 4-year cycle, and we are entering that quadrant of the cycle where it goes gangbusters. It goes crazy, where we usually have the blow off top. There's been lots of talk about how these cycles are over and that the halving doesn't have as much of effect anymore, and that we have institutional players in here now. They are going to dampen volatility, but at the same time, make sure that we don't have these crazy 80% crashes anymore.
yeah,
But I mean, still, this is go time. This is the type of period where you go to bed and you wake up and Bitcoin is a completely different area code in terms of price, right? So
yeah.
it's exciting, it's fun. This is, I think, the Bitcoin community has been riled in a bunch of drama as of late with core versus knots, and people talking about the soul of Bitcoin and where it is going next. What would help us more than anything is to break to 140, 150, $160,000, and it would unite us once again, and we can just tell people to have fun staying poor for not having Bitcoin.
And not only that, it would take a lot of pressure off these treasury companies. I'm sure some of them are feeling it. They're, they bought in 116 and we dropped to 110 or whatever, and they're like, I don't know about this.
Mm-hmm.
And if we do get that push up, I'd be interested to see what the behavior is of the treasury companies if they stick to their guns. I don't know how much they must do things that they've said in the past they would do. But like, for example, like, okay, well, I'm not really worried about Metaplanet in this scenario, but Metaplanet just acquired another 5,000 Bitcoin, just casual, no problem. Metaplanet just absolutely going hard. Again, the fourth largest Bitcoin treasury company in the world. But I'm curious if you think some of these other treasury companies, the smaller ones, the ones that are just kind of dipping their toes in, how do you think their behavior is going to be if Bitcoin goes to, say, $180,000, $190,000? We're getting to $200,000 territory. We're up to 2x now. I mean, some of these companies are going to be like, oh my God, this could save us right now. And so I'm curious on what you think about this, because if we go to 200K and we're end of Q4, I bet half these companies are going to sell. I don't know. I mean, that's just my
You
thought.
think? I mean, no.
I don't know if it will, but I think it's possible, because if we get to like a 2x, if Bitcoin is really delivering crazy gains within a couple months, I bet half these companies are going to capitulate just purely off that. I could see that happening.
No,
But yeah,
no,
anyways,
no,
go
no,
ahead.
no, no, no. What's going to happen is that they're going to issue a whole bunch of stock at a crazy MNAV and dilute their shareholders and make a whole bunch of money off of their shares, right? If you sell your Bitcoin, you destroy the narrative. But if you hold Bitcoin and you've proven since your start that you are not going to sell, then you have the market take over and people are going to give you a crazy multiple, right? So right now, a lot of these companies are trading at the value of their Bitcoin. So the market is not giving them any leeway. But if Bitcoin starts to rip and they're able to show that their Bitcoin yield, that they're able to add more Bitcoin per share month by month, then you get a narrative around you, and that gives the markets an ability or an excuse to give you a multiple on your Bitcoin.
Mm.
And your MNAV can expand from 1 to 2 to, I mean, Metaplanet had a MNAV like a multiple of like 11 at one point, I believe, back earlier this year, right? So the market can really get crazy and crazy frothy, but
Mm.
no, the story is not for, if Bitcoin doubles from here, they're not going to sell their Bitcoin.
Well,
They're going to try
I
to
agree with
accumulate
you for
more, and
the
they're just going to dilute you as a shareholder.
yeah,
And so you'd be better off. I mean, I'm
that's
a
probably
Bitcoin
true.
maximalist. I think you
Yeah,
gotta own
I agree.
sats and cold storage, and that's the main play. If you have a little funny money that you want to experiment with, go for it. You can play with these things, but yeah, I mean, you're getting less Bitcoin per dollar when the MNAV goes up, right? So,
Yeah,
and at the end of the day, you're not really getting Bitcoin per dollar because you cannot you cannot trade these shares in for Bitcoin, right?
yeah,
You can only get that off an exchange. So,
sure.
you're not getting real Bitcoin with these things. You're just getting exposure to it. And but I mean, I think that yeah, this it'll be interesting to see the new life breathed into this market after so much froth has been taken off. And it's surprised we haven't seen more capitulations already, right? I mean, this has been a
Mm,
long sideways chop.
that's
A
true.
lot of these stocks have come down hard since the last
That's very
spring.
true.
They survived this summer, and I think they're holding on for dear life for this fall, for this Q4,
Mm.
to hopefully see Bitcoin explode and then have their MNAVs grow once again.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'll say certainly that's the bullish take, and I agree with you. For the top companies, I 1,000% they will do that.
Mhm.
I'm just more I guess maybe it's not even a worry because I'm not sure if those companies would even move the needle, like the bottom half.
They
I'm
wouldn't,
more
dude.
concerned with the smaller, and you're right. That actually does make a ton of sense. If the top companies start doing that and they lead that way, it could have that downstream effect like it already has, where they're already starting to buy. That's a great point. I guess in my head, I was thinking these guys are going to be they have been down all year. All they've been doing is been getting made fun of and they're going to be up 2x. I hope they have the stones to double down because that would be awesome. Do you think the demand will be there from the shareholders as well?
Yeah, I mean, once Bitcoin starts going crazy, these stocks are going to go crazy
Yeah,
again.
it's
And
true.
I mean, if you're willing to take a bet on some of these companies who are trading, some of them are trading below the price of their Bitcoin, the cost of their Bitcoin. So, you can. There probably will be some crazy gains to be made in these treasury companies if Bitcoin does what we think it does over the next 3, 6, 12 months.
Yeah, yeah, it makes sense. Makes sense. We got the next story here from Binance. Before we do, please subscribe if you're watching on YouTube. Bitcoin news and stuff is also down below in the description. So if you want to check them out on YouTube, they have a poppin' YouTube channel. You will love it. So highly recommend you guys check them out. But yeah, please do subscribe. And if you're on X, please repost. If you haven't reposted the stream, if you're watching live, please repost. If you're in the chat and you haven't left let us know what you guys are thinking about. If you have any thoughts on the especially the treasury company conversation, it's going to be one of the top things that we cover. I think just purely out of the fact that we can't not. While these companies are buying up Bitcoin, it could be the coolest narrative of all time. It could also be our downfall from the other side, from the bears. And so I think it's a fascinating topic to cover. I'm glad I put it like that. I'm glad you're able to kind of parse it apart there, Rob. And so we've got Binance here launching crypto as a service, CAAS, a white label infrastructure for banks, brokerages, and exchanges. Perfect for people who use your money and then do something else, something they said they're not going to be doing. Binance, one of the companies who was sort of involved in the downfall of FTX, and then just come to find out a few months later, they were doing the exact same thing. They're like, "How that's shady as all get out. What are you talking about?" And I asked Rob before we started. He goes, "Yeah, that's about right. Yeah, they're not the greatest." And I was like, "Oh, okay. I thought everyone loved him, and I guess they do, but unfortunately." We're able to focus on Bitcoin, I think, and so we're not out here deifying Mr. CZ. He's done a lot, I think, in the world of crypto land. And this looks like to be their latest venture. Rob, I'm not sure if you saw this story or if you care to comment on this, but they've got a pilot program opening up just a couple days ago for this, and they're going to be keeping going pretty soon here.
Yeah, I mean, I just think that the Binance story in general is a wild one, right? I mean, CZ was born in China, fled to Canada with his family, got an education there, then went back to China, started Binance in the mid 2010s, I think around 2017 or so, and then it just exploded, right? I mean, he was able to take over and create the world's largest crypto exchange. I mean, there hands down, Coinbase is small pittance compared to
Yeah.
Binance still to this day. And I mean, they've done some shady things in the past, and CZ has paid the time for doing so, right? I mean, he
Mm-hmm.
actually went to
True.
jail.
That's true. That's true. He did.
So, I mean, it might have been like a like country club jail, but at the same time he was in jail, and so
Mm.
he was there, and now he's out, and Binance is going as hard as ever. So I mean, this I think it makes sense. Crypto as a service, they have all the infrastructure ready to go. They can go out and go to institutions, banks, and say, hey, what you need, we got it. Just plug this in and you'll have crypto capabilities. It makes a lot of sense. It's just it's wild that a company like Binance, that was prosecuted so hard under the Biden regime for terrorist financing and money laundering and not paying attention to know your customer stuff, they are gonna, looks like they'll be embraced by the biggest players and provide the infrastructure for them.
Yeah, let's see if we can find a real comment here. All I'm seeing is bots for the most part. It's just so unfortunate, dude. Like, but just like to see if there's any big people giving their thoughts on it. It doesn't look like there's too much other than a bunch of people just saying nice. Okay, so that's interesting. Yeah. Very interesting stuff from CZ. They're going to be coming out and they're looking to change their narrative, I guess, and to potentially leave behind their previous, I don't even know you call that escapades, but we've got the next story here from the world record hoarder. I'd seen this because I think it was him who had said, I remember on Charlie Kirk, he'd said something similar, like, as the world's highest IQ holder, I'll be doing XYZ, out of respect for Charlie Kirk. And I was like, I guess this is the dude who, he must have gone viral on YouTube or something. He must be well known for this because he keeps tweeting this out each time. But the world record holder for the highest IQ and grandmaster of memory, I believe that Bitcoin is the only hope for the future economy. Therefore, I have converted all of my assets into Bitcoin. But everything I possess belongs only to the Lord Jesus and will be used for his glory. Love that last sentence and love the second sentence there. So I guess everyone freaked out because they're like, oh my God, if this is true, like this is actually huge. Converted all his assets into Bitcoin. I remember Mike Alfred, top Bitcoin mining expert guy. He's on the board of a bunch of companies. He's done a ton in the world of innovation and tech. He also famously put out a tweet a little while ago, around $102,000, I believe, at Bitcoin's price. And he said, I'm converting everything into Bitcoin. I don't care. Everything has changed into Bitcoin today. And everyone laughed at him because I believe we went down. It's possibly went down to the 70s after that, but I don't think we did. And now he's up on his investment. And so it's one of those things where it's like, you can only laugh so long if you're buying Bitcoin. We have the benefit of the fact that the asset itself is pretty fire. We don't have to do much for it. We just got to hold it and hold on. So and let me know. You may not have any thoughts on this, but do you have any intel on this world? Who is this dude? I mean,
yeah, who is this dude? I don't know. He's from Korea. An
on?
IQ of 276. I mean, that's 100 points higher than Einstein, right? I mean,
Yeah.
I think like the amount of standard deviations above average, above the mean, is something. It's like multiple the chances of getting an Einstein and a Da Vinci. It's like multiplying the two of those together, right? Like the odds of having a 276 IQ are extremely infinitesimally small. But this dude claims to have it. He's a huge Jesus proponent, a Christian. I think you're a fan of that, of course. And this dude, he likes Bitcoin. And hey, man, I'm not going to argue with it. I mean, it's
Yeah.
a great thing to put in our cap. So yeah, I
Big
mean, the
account.
smartest man in the world likes
300,000.
it. Why don't you?
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
did wait? Oh, here, hold on. Oh no, what is
he's
this? Is he starting a coin? The second Bitcoin. Oh,
oh
what does it even
no,
mean? What is? What
oh
is this?
no, oh no.
Wait, what is this? Wait,
Go up. What does he say?
what? Wait. Hold
As the world's highest IQ record holder and grandmaster of memory, today I decided to found the second Bitcoin as second Satoshi Nakamoto.
What?
No.
Wait.
And to support Make America Great Again and establish the Lord's churches worldwide in the name of Jesus.
Ugh,
What
I
are you
hate
talking
that.
about, dude? The
Yeah.
classic.
If that's what that sounds like major grift vibes. It sounds like the pastor for Donald Trump when he prayed to the Lord and then the same sentence dropped a meme coin.
Yeah,
That moment, by the
no.
way, Rob, that was the same day I sold 100% of my altcoin positions, converted 100% into cash, and a few months later I went into Bitcoin.
There
But it
you
was
go.
purely off that moment. So I was like, hey, shout out to the pastor for insulting the God and trying to drop a meme coin. Like, what's wrong with you, dude? Like, what?
Yeah, I
What is
mean,
this?
the signs will be there. But yeah, I mean,
Oh,
this
here we
would be
go.
classic. This would be classic. I like Bitcoin. Buy my shitcoin, right? This
Yeah.
guy, he has been promoting Trump's son's American Bitcoin mining stock. I saw that heavily, but I did not see this create a second Bitcoin.
Yeah. What does this
Not
mean?
a fan of that. If you're so smart, you should know that there will only be one Bitcoin,
It's true.
and everybody who's tried to copy it and make a second one has not done as well as the king itself, Bitcoin. So, I mean,
That's
I
true.
guess good luck to this guy. Whatever, but I will
Yeah,
question your
that was
stance, the
bizarre.
smartest man in the world, if you're
Yeah.
gonna try to make a second Bitcoin.
Well, it's like that's just pure like tone deaf. I'm like, brother, have you not been in the space for more than like a week? Nobody wants that. Like nobody wants that. I promise you. Gold hitting all-time highs at $3,800. Closing in on $4,000 potentially is there. This is a couple days ago actually, but gold is breaking all-time highs literally every day. The reason it's important for me is because I believe one of the only conversations left is where do I put my money? And I've talked to a couple of my friends actually in the last week or so where they're meeting with financial advisors and they're going over diversification. They're going over blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, guys, you guys gotta stop listening to these people. I'm like, you gotta understand these guys are employed because they keep you in the system. I was like, they make money off your fees and the money you pay them each month. I was like, I bet you could outperform at the very least, go the same level by just picking a couple, solid assets and rolling with that. I'm a big believer in gold and Bitcoin. I don't see any other asset as worth it. I could never invest in something long term to say this is gonna go into my retirement bag and invest it into stocks. It just doesn't make any sense. I can understand stocks for the STRC. You can trade and then you build up your bag and you move into another position. But sitting here and holding stocks is really tough for me because I'm like, guys, they're based in the dollar. It's like walking on an escalator going down and you're trying to go up as it's going down. It's just not, it's not a good move to make. But I love that gold is making these moves. We'll see what happens. I mean, I think if a lot more people start adding gold, the absolute natural step from that is Bitcoin because Bitcoin is just so much better than gold. But gold has got that pull.
Yeah, I mean, it's there's a story here, right? I mean, for gold to go from $1,700 an ounce in mid 2022 to that was like peak COVID investing, right? Or as COVID investing was cooling down, but still to go from 2 grand at peak COVID investing to double that nearly in the last 3 years, something huge is going on. Like gold has added over $7 trillion to its market cap in the last 2 years, right? I mean, something like fundamental ground earth shaking is happening right now in the world economy. India is gobbling up gold, right? And this is extremely different from what we saw back in the 2008, 2009 financial crisis, where they were selling their gold and trying to get their hands on USD. No, they are trading their fiat surpluses for hard money. This does seem as if the world is sort of bifurcating. It's turning into two, right? We've got the East, China, Russia, India. They've grown much closer. India being the latest one to join that group, and they want hard money. They want hard assets, and gold is something that's been, of course, part of humanity for thousands of years. And these societies are much older than over here in America, and they know the value of gold. They've seen gold through ups and downs, and they love it. They use it. They wear it, and they pass it down. So it does for gold to have added $7 trillion in market cap in just the last 18 months or so. Something is up. There's a shift in how the world thinks and acts when it comes to money. And of course, we know that if you understand the hard money principles of gold, it's not that big of a leap to understand the hard money principles of Bitcoin and its advantages.
Agreed. Yeah, agreed. I think a lot more people are going to wake up to it. It's actually not that hard of an argument. I think it's just contextual. I think when the context makes sense, I think it's an easy sell, actually. I think it's a really easy sell. Let me see if I can pull this screen up. I'm not sure what happened to my thing. Here we go. All right. Final story here. And Rob, if you have any others that you wanted to pull up before we wrap, definitely send me over the link. Happy to pull it up. But Coinbase reaching over $1 billion in Bitcoin-backed loan originations. So while they're far behind Binance, Coinbase really is leading. And in terms of I think the Wall Street people, they look at Brian. I really do think that they look at Brian and maybe a couple others. But Brian Armstrong is one of those guys. He's got a sweet, nice demeanor around him. He's shown up a couple times and been pretty, I guess, strict when people called out to cancel him and try and push him around. He's not really scared to make a stance and stick by it. There's a couple times where there was some woke stuff going on, and he was like, "Look, dude, it's I don't tell you." He's like, "No." And I was like, okay, cool. I think he got a lot of respect from a lot of people in the world because that was a tumultuous time. And so it's kind of nice to see someone just stick to their guns and be like, no, this is what we're going to do. But Coinbase, in my opinion, I mean, he's the big guy for all this stuff happening in crypto land. What are your thoughts? I mean, Coinbase, from a lot of people I know as an investors as well, I know Anthony Pompliano was tweeting about this yesterday, saying Coinbase is one of the reasons they invested so long ago was because I got to see if I can find the exact reasoning here, but I saw Anthony Pomp just tweeted this in the last 24 hours. But let me know if you have any thoughts on this story here from Coinbase.
Yeah, I mean, $1 billion of Bitcoin-backed loans, that's nothing to scoff at. I think that's just the beginning of that side of the business for them. When it comes to Coinbase itself, I mean, Bitcoiners have a lot of gripes with them. They started off as Bitcoin only, of course, and Brian was pretty sincere in saying that Bitcoin is the future, and then they just opened it up to every single shitcoin in the world. And it's in some cases it's hard to find Bitcoin compared to all these scams and imitators of Bitcoin on Coinbase itself, right? And they make a lot of money off of people trading these, what Bitcoiners would call scam coins, right? Brian himself, in order to have led the industry in America, I mean, you have to be a shark, right? You have to be a really quick-witted, smart, tough, and I would say ruthless guy too, in order to survive in this industry when it was unregulated. And now they've brought it into the regulated sphere, and he has helped lead that charge. And I think, of course, part of that is creating a regulatory moat where you can make sure that you have your smaller competitors get blocked out because they cannot just withstand the amount of fees and lawyers and everything it takes in order to abide by these regulations. And he's been all over Washington, D.C. You see him all the time on CNBC doing interviews from Washington because he just stepped out of a meeting with senators or congressmen talking about the rules and laws that he wants implemented for crypto in America. And of course, Coinbase donated tens of millions, over millions of dollars to this last election, and was a big reason why Trump and Republicans came out with majorities. So Brian is undoubtedly a power player in Washington, in America, and leading this charge. I mean, can you get better rates on Bitcoin-backed loans at other places? Absolutely. But Coinbase is the household name. It is the Wall Street favorite, and I think that they're going to make a lot of money off of Bitcoin-backed loans out of Coinbase.
Yeah, I think so as well. I mean, you're also talking about like the quality of Bitcoin loan you're getting, and if you're taking a big fat loan, there's not. I mean, at least for me, I'm not just going to pick any company. Even if you have gripes with companies like Coinbase, I feel like most people are going to gravitate towards these big players. They feel a bit safer in them. I've not had great experience with Coinbase at all. I really don't. I never use Coinbase. I'm a big fan of Robinhood. That's not because we're we do a lot of stuff with Robinhood at Wolf, but like they just are. I just objectively like their platform better. I think the UI is better. I think they're ahead for the retail crowd. I think retail investing is going to be huge. There's multiple companies I found that are very, very cool. Got a couple that are like they'll give you access to like pre-IPO private funding, and I'm like, what does that even mean? I'm like, how do retail get access to that? And you may have even seen it. We work with them, but they're one of the coolest platforms I've ever seen. And like, I'm like, what do you mean I have access to invest in private companies I've never even heard of? Like even like SpaceX, XAI, like some of these companies are very, very cool. And the retail investors getting in, and it's starting to like really move the needle. Like people are really getting interested. I think people also realize that there are some retail people with a lot of money, and there's all sorts of plays now that we've seen with Wall Street. People basically linking up 2 or 3 companies and then merging them, and now you've got a massive money multiplier because you're good at raising money. You understand Bitcoin, and so I don't know. I think there could be a pretty big push for retail. I'm excited, but I'm not a big fan of Coinbase, so I'm not sure what your experience has been using them. Most people I know have liked it. It's just me. So
yeah, I mean, I think like most people, you get your feet wet on Coinbase. It's definitely the most well-known and one of the easiest to get started on. Of course, you have to submit all of your information. And because I submitted all of my information, I am now getting texts on a daily basis of here's your password to reset your password on Coinbase, right? So they had a huge data leak this year. That they expected to have like over $400 million worth of losses from because of just how giant it was. One of the contractors that they had in a foreign country sold the KYC information of thousands, hundreds of thousands of users. And now people across the world are getting inundated with these scam texts trying to get you to change your password and give them access to it, right? So Coinbase, I mean, they're doing their thing, but there's definitely plenty of other exchanges that are better Bitcoin centric and can give you better service than Coinbase can.
Yeah, man. Yeah, crazy stuff. But that's pretty much it for my stories here. And for everyone who's watching back at home, we really appreciate you guys tuning in. And the goal here is really just run through some of the top stories, offer some commentary, get some thoughts before the day gets too crazy. not to take all your time, but rather to give it back to you. Is kind of the goal here with the coffee break. And so, guys, if you haven't already, please do give Bitcoin News a follow. Rob here. I tagged them right above if you're on X. Excellent account. Like we were going through, half of these stories are from Bitcoin News, not because Rob is coming on. It's purely, I don't even get the stories. Like I have someone who helps me get the stories. She chooses Bitcoin News because they're the best. And so glad to be working with you guys and doing these spaces and streams, dude. If people are on spaces, by the way, on audio only on X, we also do a lot of spaces together. So oftentimes Rob will jump in on the Bitcoin News account or on his personal. And so if you like the stuff he was talking about, there's a whole lot more on X and even better stuff on YouTube. Rob, is there anything coming up on the YouTube channel, by the way? You guys have a ton of podcasts, interviews, and stuff with some of the coolest people in the industry. Is there anything coolest coming up?
Yeah, today, in an hour and 15 minutes, 12 o'clock Eastern, we are releasing our interview with Quoth the Raven, Chris Irons. He has the number 111 finance Substack, and he is a character, one of the funniest guys in the space. He can break it down better than anybody. It is an hour packed of you'll be scared but entertained and laugh, and it's definitely worth a watch. So be on the lookout for that in 1 hour plus.
Amazing. Yeah, guys, head over to the YouTube, give them a subscribe to the Wolf YouTube as well if you're watching. And look, stack more sats if you can. For me, it's been a real test of my conviction in Bitcoin. I pretty much just shut my eyes. I literally just pushed my eyes closed and I was like, bye. It sucked. I hated doing it for some reason. I don't, even though I believe in Bitcoin, top blasting anything feels uncomfortable because I think Bitcoin continued to go up, but buying it at over $100,000 for a lot of people I know is risky, including myself, because I got in late. I'm not buying Bitcoin at $700. So for me, I'm just trying to acquire.
You're not late. You're not late.
Right.
Bitcoin, no matter when you buy Bitcoin, it feels expensive.
That's true. And then
even for the people who bought it at $100, right? It felt expensive when they bought it too. So just know that you buying it at $100,000 is, people in a couple of years are going to look back and be like, "Damn, you're so lucky."
Yeah, I mean, it's an asset. It ultimately depends what you believe in and why you stack certain assets. For me, like I was saying before, gold and Bitcoin are the only ones that make sense to me in a long-term portfolio. I don't see you can maybe make the case for very specific real estate. If you just happen to get an excellent deal, you just get crazy cash flow. Yeah, I guess it's possible. I just don't think you're going to outperform gold and Bitcoin. And I also think it's just better to hold, easier to hold as well. And then eventually you're probably going to dump the gold. I feel like most people are just going to eventually sort of dilute their gold holdings. Like Eric Rice is someone who's got a ton of gold. Every time Bitcoin rips and gold comes down, he sells one to buy the other, or mainly is selling gold to buy more Bitcoin. I just think that's going to be the natural flow of things. The younger generation, they're seeing Bitcoin right now at the age of like 12 years old. They're looking at Bitcoin and they're looking at the other stuff and they're like, why would I buy that? I already don't trust the government. Already don't trust the Federal Reserve. Already don't trust half these Wall Street people. What can I buy that doesn't rely on those people? There's not that many options there. So look, guys, that's all we got for you. Have an amazing rest of your day. Please like, subscribe, follow, do all the things. We'll catch you guys all in the next stream. Have an amazing